Hi, everybody. I'm Tommy Clayton, an OpenSciEd teacher and lesson writer. Today, we are going to dig into Unit 8.3. We're going to look at Lesson 1. So this is the Forces at a Distance unit. This lesson is awesome. There is a moment in this lesson that is one of my favorites. The kids are going to build a homemade speaker, and the moment when they hear it work for the first time is just absolutely amazing. So I'm excited to dig into this with you. The setup can be a little tricky, nothing too bad. So we're going to talk through all of that. So today we're going to look at this lesson at a glance. We're going to look at some key moments and talk a little bit about the material management and some tips and tricks within that. So let's dig in. All right, let's take a look at this lesson at a glance. So this is the anchoring phenomena lesson. It's a 4-day lesson. The material prep is about 60 to 90 minutes, but that's going to be some stuff that you're going to use throughout the unit. There is hands-on investigation. Students are going to need access to a device, whether it's one device in the room or they each have their own. We'll talk a little bit more about that. There's some additional videos to help you prep for the homemade speaker build. So you'll see that there's a few listed there, and we'll talk about those as we dig in. All right, so let's take a look at the way this lesson breaks down. So there's some pretty big chunks to this lesson. The first happens over the first day and a little bit into that second day, and that's where we're going to really figure out the important parts of the speaker. Then in, of course, the second day and a little bit into the third, we're going to start to really try to think about how those parts like work together to cause the sound to happen. Then on day 3, we have this bigger chunk that starts that takes us into day 4. And that's really where we're going to think about like the other things that are like a speaker. And we're going to think about our next steps, like our questions, our ideas for investigations, and all that good stuff. So we are going to figure out some really cool stuff in this lesson. We're going to figure out that a speaker has some parts that seem to be really important, like a magnet, a coil, a cone, and it needs to be connected to some type of like music source. That these parts somehow work together, even though they don't touch. And that part's confusing. But they are able to make parts of the speaker move back and forth. And ultimately, we have a ton of questions and some ideas on how we are going to figure this out. So we're going to talk about a couple of key moments in this lesson. In particular, the part 2 is where we are going to dissect a speaker. So you have the option to do this live, or there's a video that you can play for kids to see the different parts. And so as we cut the speaker apart, we are going to see the different parts, and the goal here is to put a name to the parts and start to think about why it might be important and ask some initial questions about those couple of parts. If you choose to do it live, you can label the parts as you do it. Otherwise, you're gonna capture these parts on a chart as the kids look at the different parts in the particular video. Then if we think about what happens sort of next is we attempt to make some sense of those parts and how they might work together. And so we, after we see all the parts, we think about an initial model, we come up with some ideas, we share that with a partner. And this brings us to this idea of like, hey, maybe we should build our own speaker. Maybe that can help us to figure some things out. And so we put together a homemade speaker. So the kids are going to use a cup, a coil of copper wire, some alligator clips to hook that to an 1/8-inch jack that can be plugged into something, and some magnets. And so they're going to be able to actually put their ear up to that cup, and they're going to hear some music. And it's really, really amazing, really powerful, and the kids get super engaged in this. And it gives them time to really explore those magnets and try them in different positions. And sometimes students will even want to try like multiple magnets and those type of things. So after we have done that, now we've looked at 2 speakers. We've looked at the store-bought one. We've looked at the homemade speaker. We have done some work individually modeling this. We're ready to actually come together and model this speaker and do our initial consensus model. If your students have done work in 8.1 around contact forces and 8.2 around sound, there's going to be an opportunity for you to call back to some of that to get some of the things on the table about the way the speaker is hitting the air, like we figured out in 8.2 to make sound. and model some of those equal but opposite forces that we figured out in 8.1. If your kids haven't had those units, that's fine. No need to really push them to get them out there. But you do want to start to think a little bit about that force work, about something must be pushing on something for things to move. Okay. Here's where we want to puzzle over how things interact, and really, like, what's happening maybe in that space between. And we expect that kids are not going to know, and that's okay. They might say words like magnetic field. Put it up there, add it. If you want to push them a little to be like, well, what does that look like? If they're not sure, throw some question works up there. But you don't need to get magnetic field on the table. That's totally fine. We have time later to earn that word and really explore that in the unit. Okay, so after we put together our model, we're going to start to think about like other things that could possibly work this way. Before we have our question board, though, we have this really important moment that we want to really make sure we highlight, and that's this navigation piece. And I highlight that because we want to really draw the attention to the kids that things are not touching, that the coil and the magnet in the speaker are not actually touching. And that was also true in our homemade speaker. We were able to hear sound when they were not touching. And that's really our unit question, is like, how can a magnet like make something else move without actually touching it? We want to get that on the table because we want to get questions out there about what could be happening that could allow things that don't touch to move. So real important that you don't skip this part, and that we really help the kids to see that that coil is much thinner than that space. And so those things are not in contact when the speaker is working. Okay, so after we do that and we develop our question board and our ideas for investigations and wrap this lesson up, we are going to want to really understand more about magnets. And so in lesson 2, we're going to do some exploration with magnets. We're going to try them with a bunch of different items, particularly the coil, and ultimately motivate hooking that coil to some type of power source to see if that does something. Kids will likely say in lesson 1 that they want to try magnets with a bunch of stuff, and that's where you're going to go in lesson 2. All right, so let's talk a little bit about some tips and tricks with this lesson. So the first thing is in part 6, this is when you're going to build that homemade speaker with students. The students are actually going to build the speaker themselves, but you're going to do a little bit of the prep for them to help speed it up. You can certainly have them do this prep if you have time. I really recommend it. The more we can get kids interacting with their hands to do things, the better. There is step-by-step instructions for the kids to follow, but if you're a little tight on time, you can do some of this work for them, still not going to take away from their sense making. So the first thing you're going to do is check out some videos. There's a prep video. There's also a setup video that just shows you, the prep video shows you how to prep that coil of wire and the different parts. And then the setup video is like how to put it all together. I really recommend trying this out yourself. 1, because it's just awesome. So cool to hear, but also 2, so that you're familiar with it. One of the most important things that you're going to want to make sure you do, you'll see in that picture, is sand off any enamel that is on the wire. It looks like in that left picture, the wire is a copper wire, but actually there's a protective red paint coating on it. You want to make sure you sand off until you see that bare copper wire. Part of the reason it usually doesn't work is because there's not great contact between the alligator clips and the coil of wire. So that's the first place to troubleshoot and check out. And you're going to have kids that probably get it to work pretty fast. And so those kids that do get it to work, send them around to other tables to help other kids. Tell them not to necessarily do it for them, but help them to try to see places where maybe they see in the setup where something is maybe not connected right, or maybe like looking at the wire. But you can get those kids to help other kids once they sort of get it to work and hear it. To make that coil of wire, it's helpful to use like a D battery or a PVC pipe, something to just wrap that around. The more times you wrap it, the stronger it's going to be, the better chance you're going to have for the kids to really hear some sounds. It's not going to be super loud, but it's going to be loud enough for them to actually hear it when they put their ear up to it. Louder songs are going to be better. So, especially something with like a real clear, like drum beat, maybe something that's like, that's going to be real easy for the kids to hear. If they pick some like quieter music that sort of like runs all together, doesn't have those nice breaks, it might be a little trickier for the kids to hear it. So play around with some music choice. You can decide if you're going to let the kids use their own devices and their own selection for music, or if you're going to set up some listening stations for them to bring their speaker over to listen to some things. Definitely try to avoid songs that have like a tremendous amount of bass. The speaker's not really capable of playing a lot of the lower notes. So things that have some like more treble to them are probably going to do better for the kids to hear. But you can play around and pick out some different songs that maybe you like, or maybe that your kids like, test them out and see what kind of results you get. When the kids are putting the magnets up, they're going to want to try to put the magnets in the center of that coil, but let them play around with that. That's part of the exploration. And they may want to try adding more magnets to make it louder. Go for it. Let them do it. Let them play around with it. It's only going to help the modeling and the questioning that comes after that part in the lesson. Okay, there are a few words we're going to add to our word wall. So we're going to add magnet, wire, speaker. These are all words that we add early in part 2 when we're dissecting the speaker. There's something also called the spider. This is a word we're going to encounter. This is sort of the webbing that holds the coil and the like paper surround and foam of the speaker, like the cone, together. It's not super important for understanding how things work. In fact, we don't really model that. If it comes up, great, but not something you really, really need to lean into with the kids. Then we're going to call back to words like energy, force, sound, cause and effect. These are all words that students likely have been exposed to from other units. We have a bunch of posters happening in this unit. There's nothing previous because this is the first lesson, but we're going to have our initial model that we're going to call back to. We're going to have our driving question board that we're going to call back to. We have our ideas for investigation. You'll probably call back to that at some point, maybe just in some navigation. It's not necessarily called to in the lessons, but you may find it useful. So keep that hanging around. And then we have a poster that we create, which is like where we name the parts of the speaker, how things move, and how those are might be responsible. We do that same thing for our related phenomena. So our related phenomena is more than a list. It takes on this format of like, what are the parts? What's the system? How do those things move? And like, are they touching or not? And it's okay if we're not sure when we are figuring out our related phenomena. All right, that's going to do it for us. I really hope you enjoy the moment when those kids get that speaker working. I think you're going to find engagement is super high. Kids are going to have like memories of this forever. It's a really, really exciting, fun lesson. And if you're coming off the sound unit, kids are going to be really into this because they've probably been wondering about like the speaker and headphones and all those things. So I think you're going to find the kids are really, really excited to try to dig in and figure this out. Come back and join us for lesson 2. That's when we're going to find out a little bit more about what a magnet can push or pull without touching. Thanks for watching.